Hi everybody, and happy Tuesday. And isn't it the Mondayest Tuesday you have ever seen? I really think it is. I've had all kinds of book problems, technology problems. Can you tell? I'm standing in the classroom where else everybody has gone off to lunch, and I wanted to come in and give you another negotiation live lesson. And today we're going to be talking about another battle-tested tip. We did one last week. We're doing one this week. And oh, by the way, if you would like all of my battle-tested tips, we're doing that in a webinar tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. So what I'll do is as soon as I get off, I will put the link down here below so you can sign up for it if you would like. So that's where you go and sign up for it. And again, I'll put it on as soon as I get finished. So what is the battle-tested tip that I'm going to be talking about today? Well, it's this one. It is the idea of getting to know what the seller wants. So here is the scenario. I represent a buyer. It is a competitive market. And now I've got to take my buyer and get them in the best possible place with their offer as possible. So here is what I think is one of the best great tips, is to know what the seller wants. Understand what the seller wants. Now, there's several topics here, but let's just go ahead and talk about this. Most of us think it's money. They want money. But that's just not necessarily true. I have seen up close in competitive markets, sellers who have taken less in order to get things like time. So they don't have to move directly out of their house from the closing and into another house. So I know I helped a family just recently with 3 small children, and what got them to pick a particular contract is because that person would allow them to stay for another week. That was a huge deal. In fact, they took a lesser priced a lesser offer in price in order to get to do that. I have seen people take lesser prices in order to get a really, really fast close. I have experienced people that will take a lesser price or take an offer and just go ahead and close down the rest of the bids just to get it done. Where an agent has called and said, look, we've got a really good offer here, but it's going to go away. It's going to go away. And so if you don't accept it within the next X amount of time. So understanding what they want. So how do you do that? Well, many times you're in their house, right? If you see a lot of toys, if you see a lot of things, then you know that there's a family here that likely would need a little extra time. If the house is empty, surely that tells you that they're going to want a faster close. But I like the good old tried and true way, and that is to pick up the phone and call the agent or text the agent. I prefer calling the agent. And I would say something like this: look, I've got a buyer who's interested in this house, and I really want to make sure that your seller gets what they want. And if I can't at all give it to you, I will give it to you. So if you can give me an idea of what's most important to them, I will do my very best to make sure I have that in an offer. Now, I can go ahead and almost hear you shouting through the phone to me, but Joe, they never answer their phone. I'm sure that y'all are out there saying that right now. And I will say to you that you would be absolutely correct. There are people who do not answer their phone, and it is very, very sad. It is sad for our profession. It is sad for our clients. It is sad for their client. It is just sad when you have an unresponsive listing agent, and I totally get that. But there are some agents who do. There are many agents who do answer their phone. Here is my response to you. Try to contact them. Try to have this conversation with them. not just because you would like this information, but because you're going ahead and establishing a relationship with that agent. And that is huge when you're in a competitive bid. So I have a couple of agents that have just recently told me that they were representing sellers that had multiple offers, and they were all so close that they really started splitting hairs on who to pick, and that they had multiple times an agent say to them, or a seller say to them, who do we most want to work with? Let's pick that person. Wow, doesn't that tell you something, right? Who do we want to work with? Who would we most like to work with? That is another reason for you to start building a relationship with the agent of the house. It's really important. Not to mention, if you do win the bid, then what happens is you have got a relationship that you're going to be in, a 4-week, 6-week, 8-week relationship, and it's really important to have established that with the other agents. Now, let me just go ahead and say, again, many of you are going, they never answer the phone. And I understand that. And here comes my psychology lesson. So here comes the psychology lesson. When we experience frustration, like trying to get a hold of an agent who won't return our call, when we are experiencing that frustration, that emotion means that we start building a memory of it. So what do I mean by that? Well, when we have something that frustrating happens or an emotional event happens, we remember it much, much clearer than we do neutral events. So agents who answer their phones, that's a neutral event. We just don't ever think about it. And all of a sudden what we do is we start assigning more importance to the agent who doesn't. We start believing that all agents don't because of it being emotional. It really intensifies it, and that is what is in our memory versus the neutral emotion of somebody who answers their phone. And then we start assigning that belief that we have come to other people. Let me give you an example. I was negotiating an offer one time, and this agent was particularly nasty. And he said to me, he did not like our counteroffer, and so what he said to me was, Joe, I am a church-going man, and I can tell you that this counteroffer is going to make you have to go to hell. And I thought, what? Now, usually things just roll off my back. Whatever somebody wants to say to me, that's fine. That's their problem. It's not my problem. But for whatever reason, this one zinged me a little, and I held on to it. It felt bad, and I really, really held on to it. And I realized a little while later, probably several years later, that what I had done was I had assigned that emotion to everybody in his firm. So because he was so mean and cantankerous, I started believing that everybody in his firm was the same way. That is how a strong emotional event jades the way we look at things. So I get it. It's highly emotional times. This competition is tough. But one of the things that you can do that will really make you stand out is start building that relationship with that agent and start asking the question about what can you do for the seller that will make you stand out among all of the rest. All right, that is our battle-tested tip number 2. Remember, make sure to sign up for our webinar, our free webinar tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. And oh, by the way, I'm going to be back with the Facebook Live on Thursday to talk about some skills that really, really good negotiators have. So we're going to talk about that. And oh, by the way, in that one, I have a little giveaway for you. So I will see you then, and I hope I will see you tomorrow in the webinar. Bye. I got to get back to class.